The Simpsons is a TV show released in 1989, based off of animated sketches on The Tracy Ullman Show in 1987, created by Matt Groening, whatever, fuck you. It was considered a cult classic by the time the 90s rolled around. I mean, everybody knew about The Simpsons. They still kinda do. And let's just say that after a while, The Simpsons just weren't as good as they once were. I'm sure that most people can agree with me on that. By season 9 or 10, it just kinda lost the magic that it once had. And it continues in that downward spiral even to today. And while I consider the new Simpsons episodes watchable, they're not always the most entertaining. But in 2007, 20 years after the Tracy Ullman sketches of The Simpsons, a movie was released. And my opinion on that movie is very positive. I find it to be a return to form, and I recommend everyone to watch it. Even non-Simpsons fans. But that's a video for another day. Alongside the Simpsons movie was the Simpsons Game. No, not that one. So, the Simpsons Game was released in 2007 for the Wii, PS3, PS2, Xbox 360, DS, and PSP. So yeah, they tried to appeal to everyone. Okay, while doing research for this video, everyone is saying that a new Simpsons game is going to be announced for E3. So, if it is, then I called it! No one else did! All of the voices from the show come back to voice their characters. Unlike SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom.
The only good robot is the one that's given me them shiny objects!
That ain't Mr. Krabs. Get out of here. Well, without any more background, let's just get into the game. The game opens with the ever-iconic Simpsons clouds. It then leads to the start menu. When you actually start the game, it opens with Homer sleeping on the couch as it fades into a dream. And this dream acts as a tutorial. Your moves are simple: jump, double jump, punch, and a special move that you build up by defeating enemies. And the level has a really nice aesthetic. I like the idea of a chocolate level. The music is from the Hit and Run credits, which, that game has an amazing soundtrack, so good choice. The goal is that Homer has to chase a white chocolate rabbit. And so when he reaches him, and eventually eats him, Homer unlocks a new power. He can turn into a giant ball and mow people down. And it controls pretty well. You just kind of roll around in a ball. Eventually, Homer wakes up from the dream. And I'd like to note how wonderfully animated these cutscenes are. So far, my only complaint is that the jump feels a little off. And with that, the level's over, and it cuts to Bart at a game store. As he leaves the store, a manual for a game just kind of falls from the heavens. The manual is for the Simpsons Game. Yeah, I'm not kidding. He gets a manual for the game that he's in, and the manual explains his powers, similar to how Homer has powers. So he then becomes a Batman-esque character, meets up with Homer. For some reason they break into a museum. But it's okay, because there's a different crime going on that they stop. The level starts off in a cave area, where it shows off Bart's moves. He can slingshot, punch, jump, and climb on certain walls, as well as glide. It also showcases the buddy system. Every level, with the exception of the first one, has you playing as two of the Simpsons characters. You can switch to the other one at any time, and they follow you so that they don't get lost. This of course means puzzles, oh god, the puzzles. As we go through the level, it transitions into a museum that eventually leads into a planetarium. And this is where the bullshit factor comes in. You know how I said that the jump can be improved earlier? What I meant was, it should be fucking replaced. Platforming is not this game's strong suit, and boy does it force you upon you, especially with Bart. And having a glide does help a little bit, but the glide isn't too good either. Even with that said, I don't think that it ruins the game, because platforming is really only with Bart levels, and at that, not all of Bart's levels are platform heavy. Well, once a beat-up bully is trying to steal art, it cuts to the next level. And before I get into the next level, I have a complaint. These hub worlds are trash. Yeah, there's hub worlds, and that could be cool, but they fucked it up somehow. The hub world is just Springfield, which sounds cool. That's what they did in Hit and Run. The difference was, Hit and Run actually did things with it. The characters had funny dialogue, and they interacted with the other characters. And most of all, it was easy to navigate. This is not. You're supposed to find these orange beams that leads you to the next level, but they're impossible to find. You have to walk around the whole town just to find them. However, some versions of the game cut these entirely, like the Wii version. That version is just a Simpsons house, which is small and easy to navigate. Well, with that out of the way, let's talk about the next level. And it's a really cool idea. It's a food con level. You play as Homer and Bart again. But it's a Homer-heavy level, so that means not as much platforming, which is good for me. You start in a country, eat their food, and become a ball, like in the first level, so that you can wait for it. Fucking mow down innocent contestants! I like that it's an around-the-world type level. You start in France, then the US, and Mexico, and even more. Then you beat the level, watch a cutscene. This is where you might realize that the cutscenes are actually funny. Then it cuts to the next playable character, Lisa. Lisa finds Bart and asks him if she has any superpowers too. And she does. She has Buddha powers, yep, I said Buddha powers, to pick up objects. She can also jump, punch, and use her sacks to stun enemies and more. Lisa wants to destroy a factory, because why not? And then she gets Bart to join in. When the level starts, you'll notice that the music's actually pretty good. And then you fight loggers, because why not? Bart has a really cool shortcut in this level that Lisa can't use, so of course, she has to go through probably the worst platforming segment I've played in a while. And when she meets up with Bart, they have to complete a puzzle that uses both of their abilities, Lisa's Buddha powers and Bart's gliding. Then you save Carl and Lenny, cause why the fuck not? I don't know. And that concludes Lisa's level. Then it cuts to the last playable character, Marge. She can jump, punch, and use a megaphone, cause why the fuck not? I don't know. But her megaphone can mind control people, I guess, and then they do her bidding. The level starts with kids going crazy as they copy bad behavior in a video game that they played. So, her and Lisa boycott it, using Marge's mind control powers and Lisa's Buddha hand powers. Overall, this is a pretty boring level. All of the Marge levels are. They just kind of drag on because there's not much to do except tell people to fuck shit up, which they of course do. She then successfully boycotts the game. And then aliens, because why the fuck not? I don't know. Not kidding. I'm actually not kidding. After you beat this level, it cuts to aliens invading Springfield just out of nowhere. So Bart and Lisa go to Frank's house to see how to get rid of them. And of course he's not there. So they find a machine that he built and use it to transport themselves to a pretty cool looking level. And that level is... I don't know what it's called, but it still looks cool, and there's a lot of cool video game references. Like this Sonic appearance. Basically, you meet up with Frank and then blah blah blah. Play this level. This level is kind of like a game factory. And this game was developed by EA. I know what you're saying, but with that said, there's a lot of EA references in this level. So there's things like Madden football players and EA's logo. Everywhere! Everywhere you look, you will see EA's logo, and I'm not even kidding. One thing about this level is that it's another Bart and Lisa level, and they get power-ups. Bart gets a grappling hook, which locks onto certain objects and pulls you there, and Lisa gets a sax upgrade. Now enemies attack each other when stunned. And this is a very Bart-heavy level. And so there's lots and lots of bullshit platforming. It turns one of the coolest ideas into one of my least favorite levels. But trust me, this ain't my least favorite level. Just wait. This is one of those levels that is different depending on the version of the game that you have. I grew up with the Wii version, and it's pretty much as the version that I'm playing now, the PS3 version. Just with different graphics and some changes in level design. And this is probably the second most amount of changes in the game. The Wii version is so hard to sit through though, because of the puzzle before the boss. One day, I want to compare the differences in the two versions, but for now, let's get back to the game. At the end, there's a boss. It's similar to Donkey Kong. Lisa uses Buddha powers to flick the ape, rinse and repeat, and bang, the level's done. After that, Frank takes you back to Springfield, and you do the 3 alien levels. The first alien level is based off of a Treehouse of Horror, a fight against Lard Lad. Homer gets a new move. He inhales helium and can float through the air for a short period of time. This fight is simple. Just go to the back of his head and press a button. Do this 2 more times and bang, done. The next one is a dolphin level. This is based off of another Treehouse of Horror. It starts with Lisa and Bart, again, on a boardwalk fighting dolphins trying to get to an aquarium type area to fight a boss. Once you get there, you use Lisa's Buddha powers, Put a jellyfish in the water, and use Bart to shoot the boss dolphin in the water. Do this 2 more times, bang, you're done. The last alien level is a Bart and Homer level, again. It takes place in a destroyed mall. You and Bart go through fighting stumpy aliens to get to the mothership. Once you make it, you see Cletus there, and then you and Bart have to fight off more aliens. And as a ball Homer, you smash into shit until the level is over. After the level is over, they all meet back at the house and look up a walkthrough on the internet. But they somehow get sucked into the internet and transported to a place called the Game Engine. They meet pixelated versions of themselves. So, Bart and Homer, again, make their way to save them. Once they do this, they are set into a new hub world. A much better one than the last one. Here we get new moves. Bart gets a better glide, Lisa has elemental powers, Marge has a better megaphone, and Homer can become a weird gummy monster. Then, they have to go through 4 new levels to collect keycards so that they can ask their creator to save them from the aliens. Who is the creator, you might ask? Well, you'll see. These next 4 levels are really memorable because they aren't tied down to the Simpsons universe. They can branch off to the universes of movies and video games now. The first one of these levels is based off of World War II movies and games. It starts with Grandpa narrating as Homer and Bart, for almost the 3rd time in a row, go around doing war stuff. There are multiple acts in this one. The first one has Bart and Homer collecting flags. Fun. But it does give you a chance to use your newly acquired moves. The second act is an escort mission. You have to destroy tanks and projectiles in the way of a car that you're escorting. The third act has you aboard a ship trying to overthrow Burns. And I just love that all of the enemies are Smithers. Then you beat the level and obtain the first key card. The next level is so long, but it's a cool idea. It's a level based off fantasy games like Zelda. It starts off with Homer and Marge protecting villagers from Patty and Selma, who are dragons. This boss is very tedious, but it goes down quickly. When you enter the dungeon/castle thingy area, things get more interesting. It's kind of fun despite it being a Marge-heavy level. You command little Rods and Todds and Ralphs to build things while Homer flies, rolls, and does weird gummy things. However, the final boss is complete shit. I still don't even know how to beat it. It has Patty and Selma as dragons pooping eggs while Homer inflates and does something, I think. I just kind of floated into them and hoped that it would end soon. Well, I mean, it took a while, but it did. The Wii version of this level is cheese-stuffed ass. The dungeon/castle area is even longer, and there's not as much Homer stuff. It's more Marge-oriented. However, the boss is much better in this version. So you beat the boss and get a keycard. The next level is the worst level in the game, by far. Grand Theft Scratchy. It's another Marge level. It has Marge and Lisa teamed up to make a Grand Theft Auto world a little more clean. However, this level is the most annoying and most long and most tedious ever. Marge controls these dogs and beats up mice and cats, while also remodeling some buildings. It's just so uneventful. Thank God it's the last Marge level until the last one. So then, you beat the level and get the key card. You then play probably my favorite level in the game. And yeah, it is a little racist, but screw it, that doesn't stop it from being fun. It has Homer and Lisa teaming up as they go through a parody of Japanese games, and the Katamari Millhouse just did it for me. You have to go through 3 areas to help Mr. Sparkle, a fire world, an ice world, and a flying ship world. The fire world has mainly Homer doing things as a ball, and the ice world has mainly Lisa using her Buddha powers. The ship world has you fending off enemies while protecting levers on a ship, and has by far the best music. At the end of every world, they have a Pokemon battle, and the moves don't really matter that much. In fact, in the Wii version, they just make it a cutscene. Once you beat the stage, you get the last keycard and get to fight the creator. So Bart and Homer fights his minions until they get to his mansion. In the Wii version, the mansion is another part of the level. In the PS3 version, you just go straight to the boss. You then meet the creator, Matt Groening, fuck, whatever it is. Yep, the real creator of The Simpsons. I mean, that's actually pretty clever. So he draws Futurama characters for you to fight, and then you beat him, then he escapes, and so do you, where it cuts back to Springfield, where aliens are still invading, and Lisa says,
I'm gonna use my Buddha hand powers to build a tower to heaven out of Springfield buildings. Then we can get to the only authority who outranks Matt Groening, God.
She will use her Buddha powers to talk to God. Yeah, because that makes sense. She then does that, and Homer and Bart fight Shakespeare. Then the whole family plays the last stage. It's a nice balance of all the characters' abilities. And then you fight Benjamin Franklin. After that, you talk to God, and it turns out he's a gamer that lost the manual to the Simpsons game. Bart picked it up, so they then DDR to copyrighted music in order to save Springfield. Roll credits. Okay, that was a bit of a fucked story. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was all over the place. I mean, it starts in the land of chocolate, and it ends with you playing DDR with God. It was a different experience, to say the least. And the actual gameplay was also a bit of a roller coaster, and the graphics, even for 2007, were a bit lazy. So overall, I'd give this game a
broken marriage out of 10.